Hey everyone, it's Michael from Bullion Now. As I said, we're doing the hayband and sticky tape edition here. I am literally parked in my car in beautiful, beautiful Bairnsdale, and we are going to run the live stream from here. It's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes. So let me know if the sound quality is okay. Let me know if you're having any problems with anything. And I'll try and fix them, but we'll see what happens at the end of the day. I commented to my wife just before I was on the phone to her saying, oh, it's going to look dodgy and it's just, I'm parked in the middle of nowhere. And she goes, I didn't know if to take this as an insult or not, but she said, don't worry, they don't tune in for the professionalism. They tune in because it's genuine. And I'm thinking, yeah, I really don't know how to take that. So anyway, we are here. We are having the fireside chat, and it should be good fun. We haven't done one of these for a little while. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate that, mate. We haven't done one of these for a little while, and I used to do them very regularly, where we just do, we just answer questions. Usually we'd pull them off questions that people had asked off YouTube or off emails and that type of thing. This time round, and I'm sorry for the glare behind me. I'm currently seeing it on another screen I've got in the car, so I apologise for that right from the start. But yeah, I don't have a chance to go through all the emails, but what we're going to do today is I'll keep an eye. I've got the live chat running down the side, and I've got a backup here just in case something falls over. But I'll go through as many of your questions as you've got. So this is a great opportunity for you to just, those questions you've got that you're just not quite sure how to ask or who to ask or what to ask or any of those sorts of things. Feel free to ask them today. We'll tease it out a little bit. We might get some further clarifications, but you're pretty anonymous on a YouTube live stream. Well, everyone else is. I'm not particularly anonymous, I suppose. But it's fairly anonymous, so you can ask those questions that maybe let's keep them bullion related, but any of those questions that are a bit interesting or a bit like I said, you're just not kind of sure, or you just don't want to, launch in front of everyone and say, hey, I know this sounds dopey, but here I am, sort of thing. So just launch in as much as you want, and I'll answer as many as I can. Obviously, this is the first week back. I'm a little disappointed that we couldn't do a proper live stream with the whole crew because we're all over in Perth for the launch of the horse earlier on this week, and I'm hoping that some of the people in chat will have been the people that have made it to the tour that Perth Mint took us on around Perth Mint and through the back end, because I'd really love to hear people's feedback on that. The few people that I did manage to talk to, because it was a very busy day, the few people that I'd managed to talk to were very, very positive. So I think it went well, but I'd really love to hear both myself and for the rest of the Bullion Now family that couldn't make it, just if it was good, if you had fun, and maybe some of the highlights for you if you want to throw those in, so people know kind of what happened and who we had a chance to talk to and the different things that you see when you're over there. All right, so there's some questions coming through, so let's see if I can hit some of them fairly quickly. Is the Perth Mint coin the same size as the Ram coin? Ram coins are usually slightly larger diameter. Scottsdale Silver Christmas designs are fantastic. We are getting some of those in. So they're on order, and we'll let you know as soon as they arrive in the country. So this is from Hades. Do you think Perth Mint will put out the Silver Luna horse bar this year like they did with the Snake and the Dragon? I haven't specifically, actually I have specifically heard that, I'm pretty sure. So yes, they are putting out the horse this year. So I believe it hits kind of February next year. No, actually, I think it's just in time for Lunar New Year. So that'll be January next year. We should see that. So that'll be good. Stephen wanting to know how the Perth Meet went. I thought it went incredibly well, but we'll wait to see if some of the other people chime in on that one. It was really good. We also we got to meet and listen to Ing, who's the designer of the horse, and a little bit of background there. And also, you'll see coming out in the next week or two, we actually managed to sit down with both Neil, who heads up the minted products out of Perth, and we sat down with Ing as well, and we had a bit of a one-on-one discussion with her about how the whole situation went. So look forward to those coming out. Keep your eye out on them. Hopefully within the next week or so, we should be able to get those released. But we're a little bit tied up, both with Ruben being a bit crook, but also we've got to get both of those approved by the legal team over in Perth. So that could cause slight delays, but shouldn't be too long. Flamepaw there says the tour was awesome, which is great. Gold and silver has shot up quite a lot. Hopefully I'm going to get a chance to do a video this weekend on the spot price and the movement of them. There's some really interesting comments coming out about that in mainstream media. Goldman Sachs released a burst this week on why they think gold is going to go through $4,500 US by the end of the year. And it's a fascinating article, not so much by the fact that they've pinged $4,500 US dollars on the price of gold, but more their reasoning behind it. But we'll break that down. Hopefully I'll get a chance to do that this weekend, and we'll break that down into and release that next week. Sorry, my page just skipped ahead. Desi also enjoyed the tour, which is great to see. What do you think about the future of silver? Will it explode with demand in electronics? That's from Jack. I don't know as it'll explode. I think we'll continue to see it push upwards. And I think that's going to be a combination of both things like electronics, but a lot of newer technologies that are coming in that are required for us to go green. But we're also seeing another push upwards, and love him or hate him, Trump is making the correct noises for driving inflation. He's pressuring the Reserve Bank over there to reduce interest rates. They're doing pseudo cash pumping out into the economy in various forms, and Australia it's just as bad. A lot of the Western economies are. So all the right ingredients are there to start driving that price of those of precious metals and fixed assets generally. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next few years. All right. Do you think silver will drop in price again? Look, that's from Tassie Coin Hunter. Look, we'll see the normal ebbs and flows of the market. I'm not expecting to see a drastic decrease in silver or gold, for that matter, or platinum. I think we are in I don't want to say we're in a super cycle, because I don't think we are, but we're certainly in a push upwards. I would suggest. Doesn't mean it's going to just go up day after day after day, but I think you'll see the trend will keep continuing upwards throughout this year and certainly through next year. And I think it'll actually go a little bit longer than that. But certainly for the next 18 months to 2 years, this is not financial advice, but I fully expect to see it keep driving upwards with the occasional easing back, which is just part of the normal ebb and flow of any market. I invest in gold as an exchange-traded commodity. Are there benefits to using an unallocated program that BN has over an ETC? And do you have independent auditing? So that's from Max. There are benefits and problems with both, whether you're looking at an exchange, so an ETF, or any of those types of things, or whether you're talking an unallocated program like our own. The advantage of things like the ETFs, those types of things, is they usually have quite low rates to get in and get out of. So they have the advantage. If you're looking at short-term trading, quite often those types of things are quite good for that, whereas, like our unallocated program is, you don't pay anything to get into it. You don't pay storage fees on it, so it's quite low from that perspective. But when you come out of it, you're going to lose, $30 an ounce or $30 a kilo, depending on if you're doing, depending on if you're looking at kilos or ounces in gold and silver. Sorry, I've just had something come up on my other screen, and I'm just trying to chase that while I'm at it. So there is that fixed expense. Now, that if you're trading in, day out, that $30 can certainly add up fairly quickly. Whereas if you go into some of the ETFs, you'll find their trading options on them are cheaper. But if you're holding it for the longer term, then it's it actually works out to be fairly economical, like if you're holding it 6, 12 months or longer, because it doesn't have any ongoing fees, anything along those sort of lines. The other advantage that we have is that we are physically backed rather than paper hedged or anything along those sort of lines. So it does have that. We used to have it independently audited. We haven't had, it became difficult to get an independent auditor during COVID. And if I'm completely honest, we've never gone back and chased it again. But it's certainly something that I would like to see us do again, possibly sometime in the new year. But at this stage, right at this moment, I'd be lying if I didn't say, be completely honest and say we don't have that independent audit right at this moment, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely something that we need to look into. Did Alex get to see the 100 kilo coin? We did, and it was actually the 1 ton coin he was chasing. And we actually did. We did a short video in front of it, so that should be coming out in the not too distant future. If you could create, this is from Amelia 216. If you could create your own bullion coin, what design would you choose? I'm going to actually sidestep that one because we're actually in discussions with a couple of different companies to hopefully produce our own bullion coin. So stand by on that one. John Galt, when will Perth Mint be producing the 100 ounce and the kilo soon? Neil spoke to that both in the speech that he gave to, or the talk that he had with the Bullion Now family over there, and also with us individually when we did a one-on-one with him later on. So stand by. There's some interesting information around what Perth Mint is looking at with the 10 ounce, the kilo, the 100 ounce, and maybe some other sizes that they're looking at as well. So stand by on that one. Ricky, what would you preference right now, silver or gold for the stack? Look, it's not unknown that I'm more a gold bug than I am a silver bug, and I'm more of a platinum bug than I am a silver bug. So I like gold because it gives that stability over the longer term. You don't tend to see massive ups and downs, although you could possibly call me a liar on that over the last 12 to 18 months, but we don't kind of see that dynamic that you get in silver quite so much. And I prefer platinum over silver because all the arguments that you've got for silver certainly carry through to platinum probably even on a bigger scale, because platinum, whether you're looking at market manipulation or not, platinum has been suppressed for the last number of years because of that overhang in the market that has been perceived there. So it's not that I don't like silver, and it's not that I don't stack silver, but if I had to put them in order, it would be gold over platinum and then platinum over silver. When does the Lunar Horse Platinum coin make it to the website? And this is from AC. Look, that one's been a bit of a screw up on our account. As everyone knows, every year we don't get allocated enough. We could sell 300 or 400%, probably more coins than what we get allocated from the Perth Mint. Normally we release it straight under an EOI. Just through various reasons, over this week we haven't been able to, but we'll absolutely do an EOI for the Lunar Horse, the Platinum Lunar Horse, coming into next week. I apologise for that delay, but we'll get to it as quickly as we possibly can. And we've actually sectioned some of those aside for people who have put platinum aside in their unallocated stacks prior to the release to purchase it. So we're hoping to be able to fill the main core, but just in case we don't have enough, we are going to go to an EOI on that early next week. There you go. Keith saying, that we're definitely, or Perth Mint, he's definitely doing the rectangular lunar horse bar because he had a sneak peek of it in the design room. And that was one of the advantages people got when they came on this tour, was there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been released yet, and even some stuff that won't be released into the Australian market that has that they got to see on the tour around the Perth Mint. Yeah, thanks, Greg. I am a bit cramped and a bit twisted around on this one. I know I'm going to pay for it tonight because I can already feel this muscle starting to tense up. Woodsy, can't wait for the 10-ounce Thor bar. So you must have obviously ordered one of those fairly recently. And it looks like I'm slipping behind because my screen just jumped quite a bit. So Silver Sausage had a great time at the Perth Mint, lifting the 12-kilo gold bar. So for those that don't know, we were allowed into one of the vaults of the Perth Mint where they store the 400-ounce gold bars, and they actually had a couple out on display there, and they allowed the guys to pick it up and feel what a 12-kilo gold bar feels like. It's pretty amazing, really. I have a damaged 1/10 gold Perth Mint kilo ding on the outer rim. What might it sell for compared to an undamaged one? Look, Mel, you'll find that they still sell, if you're selling back to a bullion dealer like ourselves, we pay spot. It doesn't matter if it's got a ding in it, but you probably are going to lose a little bit of premium there when you're selling into the secondary market if you sold to, somebody down the pub or, at a Silver Stackers meeting or something along those sort of lines, because obviously people like it to look really good, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's still an ounce of gold. You still should be looking to get that spot price for it at a very minimum, and possibly even a little bit more than that, because it is still a coin at the end of the day. Greg C. Was impressed with the Perth Mint tour, which is great. Grabbed the chocolate. I noticed we made comment on it while we were over there that the price of the Perth Mint chocolate bar went up just before we arrived. So we think they were being a little bit sneaky about that, but they claimed innocence. But to Perth Mint's credit, they've actually given us, I don't know if I should admit to how many Perth Mint gave us, because we're going to do a promo with the Perth Mint chocolate bar next week. And if I admit to how many they gave us, then people are going to know how many I ate on the flight back from Perth. But Perth Mint were very generous about giving us some Perth Mint chocolate. And as everyone knows, it's probably one of the best chocolates in the world. So look forward to that next week when we're going to do a bit of a promo with those. And a big shout out to Perth Mint for being incredibly generous and trusting me with handing me quite a number of those Perth Mint chocolate bars. It was I don't think they quite realise how much we enjoy them. Is the BM Perth Mint tour going to be an annual event? Mark, we're really hoping to, and Perth Mint has certainly given that indication, but you don't count your chickens before they hatch, and I certainly we're incredibly, look, that is one of the busiest days for Perth Mint out there, and the fact that they allow us and welcome us to come in on that day is a huge privilege, and we never take that for granted. So we'll absolutely be looking to get that set up again for next week. And like I said, the indications were that it will be on again next year. Don't forget also, and it's something that I actually mentioned this to Perth Mint when we're over there, one of the things that you only get on that day when you're there is that signed certificate from the designer of the lunar bar. The lunar coin for that year. And they only have those available on that day, and the designer is only available for the first couple of hours to sign it. So there's a number of reasons to get over there to Perth Mint on that lunar day. So mark it in your calendar and get over there next year for it. Thor noted have been released. What happened to the third bar in the series? It is coming. It hasn't been released at this point by Germania and the Royal Mint. Do you think it will go up because of gold or the drop in the US dollar? Stephen, I actually think it will go. So we're talking about the price here in Australian dollars for precious metals. Honestly, I think it's the price is driving up higher in its raw US dollar term. We saw that the slight increase overnight was actually more because of Australian dollar movements rather than the gold price going up itself. But it's certainly still got legs in US dollar terms, in my opinion. Plume Pakenham is open for general shopping, although we don't have the display set up yet. But it is by appointment only at this point, so be aware of that. give us a call, 1300 84 84 10. Set up a time to come in, and you can do all the shopping that your heart desires while you're there. And I'm hoping next week I can make a bit of an announcement. Yeah, Desi's commenting about the rejects, and Perth Mint don't like me talking about this, but I'm going to comment on it again. And the quality of you appreciate the quality of the product of Perth Mint products when you actually go through and you realize how little it takes for Perth Mint to reject a coin or a bar. And they have a tray of them sitting there, and you watch them as they're going through, producing even the bullion coins, and they'll go, because they're hand stamped. They've got a big press, but it's still a manual process, and they'll inspect each coin and they pull it off, and they grade them fairly quickly, and they'll pull it out, they'll put it on the reject pile, and I'll say to one of them, I'll look at this tray, and there'll be, I don't know how many's on a tray, 20 to 30 coins are on a tray at least, and I'll look through them, and I can pick 3 or 4 of why they're rejected, and I'm pretty fussy with coins, but I can't pick the rest, and I'll say, why did you reject that one? And they've done it as they've moved through fairly quickly, and they'll go, and they've got a big magnifying glass next to them, which they don't use that often, I'll say, but they'll bring it up and they'll put it under the magnifying glass, and they'll say, you see this little blemish down here, and it's incredibly difficult to see, but they pick it up really quickly. This isn't a criticism of their product and the way they produce it. It's just amazement at how fussy they are, where the slightest bit of dust, and that's the biggest problem over there in any manufacturing facility, is dust. And it'll be the tiniest fleck of dust has got involved there somewhere, and it'll make a reject coin out of it. And it's just, honestly, 90% of their rejects I would quite happily have in my collection. So yeah, I totally agree, Desi. Can you explain what it means when mints talk about the price of leasing metals? Gina, we're actually we're going to do a bit of a video on that one. It's not a difficult concept, but it's going to take longer than the 5 minutes I can allocate it right here. So stand by on that one, and I will answer that question. If we have to use silver as money, I find that most people do not recognize it as money. Also, those who do will need to have a way of testing if it's real. This is one of the arguments, Glenn, why a lot of people buy government-produced metals, whether it be in Australia, we've got the kangaroo, the likes of the kookaburra, the koala, those types of things. You go to the US, you've got the eagle. Canada, they've got the maple, amongst other things. Those types of coins, because they're a government-produced coin, you can be 99%, in fact, you can be 100%. The only doubt you bring into it is if it's a forgery, but you can be sure that is the correct weight coin. So that is one of the arguments as to why a lot of people stack those government-issued coins, because in a time when anyone needs to have confidence in the weight of the coin and the purity, the fact that it's government-produced kind of lends that authenticity to it. So if that's one of your concerns, mate, it could be a reason why maybe you move away from the bars a little bit and more into the coins. Although having said that, Perth Mint absolutely produce a bar with the Perth Mint stamp on it, and that one, again, has that backing of the government behind it. Zabinator, what do you think of Saudi Arabia getting silver? There's a lot of central banks own silver and governments own silver. It's an interesting discussion in itself. We might leave that one for another day. I think it can only be positive, but let's break it down. Goldman Sachs gold forecast hasn't been wrong. Friends who took this predictions are now very happy. Bullion Now customers, you are correct, Peter. And like I said, it's a great article, and I'm going to try and get a chance over the weekend to break it down a little bit. So, Desi, I was interested to hear your question to Neil when you asked about the percentage of the Luna going overseas. Used to be 92%, it's now 85%. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It showed two things to me. It showed the strengthening of the Australian stacking community, that it's becoming, I wouldn't say it's mainstream by any stretch of the imagination, but it's certainly getting out there more. People are stacking more, and people are getting more interest in these things. but it's also showing the weakening of the overseas markets. And Neil spoke to this a little bit, and I've spoken about it before, where we're seeing more and more the overseas market. They've had things like Germany Germany introducing a fairly serious tax on silver as part of their integration with the EU. We've seen some other countries do that. We've seen and that hit demand quite heavily on particularly 1 ounce coins over there. But also we're seeing with this increasing in price a huge amount of sellbacks being brought back into circulation, and those sellbacks are now stopping a lot of people or a lot of companies from ordering new products. So that's impacting on the likes of Perth Mint and the Canadian Mint, and pretty much every other mint. It was fascinating at the ANA conference we were at in Oklahoma a couple of weeks ago, where a lot of the major mints that we were talking to was quite surprised when we were saying actually the Australian market is still quite healthy, because it's almost come to a standstill for new products in the likes of Europe and the US. So McDuncan, like all the others, love the tour. Thanks to BN and the Perth Mint teams being able to organise it all. You're incredibly welcome. And again, I can't thank the Perth Mint enough. They just go well and truly above board with what they do. And the fact that they can process so many of us through the system so quickly and efficiently. We weren't hanging around at all. You turned up at 8:15. We walked through the doors. We were all of us were on the tour, and there was three. The tour was broken up into three. We're all on the tour within 10 or 15 minutes. They'd processed us through security, and they got us going through. It was just incredibly great from that perspective. Somebody's commenting on a freeze, so I'm hoping I've fallen behind on the comments, so I might just scroll down to the bottom just to make sure that we're all still going okay. Where are we here? Let me know if it's not working properly. I don't know how you do that, but yeah, the people are saying all good, so we're all good. So if I've skipped your question, don't be frightened of slotting it back in again. I've just had to jump to the end. Luke Aberley, hi Michael, can I gift my medals to my direct family for them to sell on my behalf for all our benefit? Thank you. Yeah, look, that's probably not one I'm willing to go to on a live stream. If you gift your products to family or to someone else and they sell it, that's between you and them, I suppose. But if you're trying to dodge around something, it's certainly not something I can condone. We'll put it that way. So Kane's there. Hopefully our government won't. I think that might be a different conversation. Did anyone not make it to the tour that was supposed to be there? As far as I'm aware, it was a full deck. We had everyone there. Keen to see what the new Scottsdale products you guys bring in now with the strengthening relationship. Any indication as to when we might see some new flavors coming through? We're actually starting to see some already being ordered and on their way over here. We should see them coming through. And some of the new Scottsdale products were incredible, but so were some of the other mints. And I've shouted out before to the Czech Mint. They are producing some incredible stuff. I'm really excited. They won't be in, I don't think, until next year, but they're just producing some incredible things there. Will you be getting 2025 Libertads? We won't be getting the 25s. We might be getting some of the 26 in. Excellent number of people are telling us that it's all good from their end, so that's great. How does GST apply on sovereigns? Doesn't it appear to be 10%? It absolutely is, Josh. 10% GST on any product that is non-pure. So, the likes of the sovereigns, the gold eagles, those types of things all incur GST in Australia, and it is 10%. If you're looking at our website, you'll actually see that we charge, I don't know the exact number, so I might be slightly wrong on this, but I think sovereigns on our website are $50 above spot, including GST. We probably should revisit that with the increase in spot price, but that actually means that you're actually buying them. If you take the GST out, it's actually below spot price. 50% plus $50, sorry, $50 plus 10% GST. No, let me try that all over again. It's $50 including GST over spot price. So we wear some of the cost of that. We'll be at the Hobart A&A this weekend. Unfortunately, I can't make it this weekend, and I am absolutely devastated. So you will see Matt there, I believe. Matt will be down there. So you can say good day to Matt this weekend. Alex was rumouring that he was looking at shooting down there. I'm not going to get a chance, unfortunately. But if you see Alex down there or Matt, that'd be great. Any reason why we've only seen Thor and Odin and not the third in the set? As far as I'm aware, Money Mum, the third hasn't been released yet. I'm certainly not aware of it being released. They may have snuck it past me. It's not impossible. It has happened before, but I don't believe it's been released yet. Nathy Boy, was PM asked about the cancellation of the Quokka and the Wombat? Any others on the chopping block? Neil was asked about it. I'm not going to comment on it because obviously that's a Perth Mint thing. But having said that, he was generous enough to clarify some comments on the interview we did. So, Nathy Boy, if you wait till next week or the week after when we manage to release that interview, that should answer at least a good part of your question there. Hopefully, Corey, hopefully you can be there for the 26 and the 27 tours. That would be great. Zabanada, is your Bullion Now coin going to have you sitting in a bed? No, it's not going to have me on it at all, hopefully. Can you stock First Mint from First Majestic Silver? Not in the shorter term, Peter, but in the longer term, it's certainly on the list of things we're looking at. Canes, I was upset. There was many people who were upset because they couldn't get tickets to the tour. So, yeah, unfortunately, for practicalities, Perth Mint limits the number of... I've said a number. In fact, I said to Neil when we were over there, you know, if you can do this, like I can bring people through all week and we still wouldn't get through the backlog of the people that were on the wait list. If we did, 3 or 4 tours a day for the whole 5 days. He was quite shocked at how many people wanted to go through. I don't think that the mints, they're so... This is not meant as a criticism. So Perth Mint, if you're watching, or any of the other mints around the world, if you're watching, don't take it that way. Take it more as a compliment. But I don't think we've been through many mints around the world. We've filmed some. We've got a video coming up from the Austrian mint, the tour that we did there not that long ago. We've got one that's currently being edited from Germania when we were across there. I've been through a lot of mints around the world, and they seem to be, every single one of them is shocked when I say, like the stackers and the collectors and the community really love to see this behind the scenes stuff, and they really want to know more. And they, like there's this huge demand and hunger for talking to the designers of the coins and the manufacturers and that type of stuff. And they don't quite understand how big a world it is that would love to get involved in it. So we're encouraging them more and more to try and do these backroom tours and get on the front foot and actually have their own YouTube videos. In fact, we've helped a couple of them with their YouTube channels. So, yeah, keep supporting us, supporting them, doing these tours, and hopefully we'll get more people and more of the community into some of these back rooms and talking to some of these designers and things like that, because it is absolutely fascinating. I got caught up in the horse hype. Got the Royal Mint one. I'm a horse. It's the year of the fire horse on the Royal Mint. I haven't actually paid much attention to the Royal Mint one yet. I really should see that. Pay money for a coin with Michael sitting on a bird bath. It's not happening, Ricky. They were circulating one at the Sunday night Bullion Now gathering over in Perth of me on a unicorn. It's still not going to happen. I'm still not keen on that one. Stephen Bayer, how does the US government revaluing their gold help their debt problems? They still owe everyone the money back, regardless of the gold they've got sitting there in Fort Knox. You're correct. They still owe the money, but all of a sudden, if they've got more assets, the same as if you and I have more assets, the banks are more keen on lending you money. They'll lend it to you at lower rates. And you can also liquidate some at higher margins and repay some of those debts. So It just means that they have a better reflection of the assets that are backing some of their debts, and like I said, could potentially liquidate it. McDuncan, Wombat, a coin for overseas. Yeah, okay. Not going to touch on that. Like I said, I'm going to leave that to the Perth Mint. What are the main exit sell reasons you come across doing buybacks? Plan to keep mine collection forever as wealth insurance. So that's from Leo. Leo, like all of us, you don't buy gold and silver and platinum and the others. You don't buy them to eat them or I suppose you do buy them sometimes to wear them, but you don't buy them to live in or anything along those sort of lines. You buy them to sell them when you need to. So you get all sorts of reasons that people sell. Yeah, sure. Some people go, oh, it's gone up X amount, therefore I'm liquidating because I want the money back. And quite often that's proven to be short-sighted, and I think it always will be, because you look at the price chart on gold and silver for the last 5,000 years, and you can see it gradually moves from the lower left to the upper right. As time goes on, it's always trending upwards overall. But there's those reasons, but there's also many other reasons. I did a buyback I haven't been in the shop much this week, to be honest, but I did a buyback last week because someone was buying a car. They needed a car, so that's the sort of thing that we see. You're buying it to liquidate later because you need the funds to buy a house, renovate the house. The car's broken down. Whoops, sorry, I bumped the computer there. Kids are going to uni and you need extra funds for that. It tends to be those sort of reasons that people are either profit taking or liquidating some of their stack. Sometimes it's they're liquidating it because they're diversifying. I'm liquidating some gold to move into silver. I'm selling some silver to move into platinum. I'm selling some platinum to move into gold. Those types of things. So you see all sorts of reasons. Everyone has a different reason. Sometimes it's to get into crypto. I made a joke the other day about, we've got people they liquidate gold to buy crypto, and then they liquidate their crypto to buy half as much gold back. And quite often that seems to be the way it goes, more often than not, unfortunately, because of the volatility in the crypto market. Some people manage to do it well, but more often than not, we see it that way. Any overseas storage options you or people have good experience with already using B in Australia? That's from Racer. There are some overseas ones. I'm never keen on giving names on YouTube without their permission, because some of them aren't open to the general public and things like that. So ask me sometime if you're in the store, and I'll make comment there. Sorry, my screen just skipped again all the way down to the bottom. Hit the thummy thing. Oh, that's I get it. Sorry, I only just understood what that meant. Ricky, please do Brisbane store. I hate going to the Gold Coast. Stand by for some announcement on things like that in the not too distant future, probably into next year. Mints are closed in microcosms, security first. Keynes, you're 100% right. And look, for a really good reason. Like I said, it's not a criticism. They are very much a microcosm, and a lot of it is to do with security. But we're teasing them out a bit. We're drawing them out, and like I said, the more encouragement they get, and the more encouragement you give us to give them, the more that we're going to be able to see into the lives of some of these mints around the world. Maltesers or M&Ms. I'm a Malteser person. Have you seen the RAM? Have uploaded a number of videos on the YouTube channel this week. Yeah, look, RAM's one of the ones we've been encouraging for a while to get out there, and it's really good to see that that they're actually putting some stuff out there. Look, and full credit to Perth Mint, they've had some stuff. They've interviewed some of their coin designers and thrown that up on YouTube. They're all starting. A lot of these mints are starting to become more active on YouTube and getting some of that information out there, and it can only do good things. Yeah, absolutely. They compete with us. Perth Mint has a retail arm, all that sort of stuff. But we've been very clear for many years that Bullion Now is absolutely a business, and yes, we need to make money because I got to pay the guys' wages and keep the lights on and those types of things. But we're very much into the education and getting the word out there. And we believe that that can only do good things for the whole stacking community. And that lifts us all up, not just, one company or the other. So, yeah, like we will encourage, we'll keep encouraging, and we advertise sometimes. We make mention and advertise other people's YouTube channels when they're into the education. I'm not so much into the scaremongering and the what do you call it when they put out they put in headlines that are just completely clickbaiting. I'm not so much into the clickbaiting channels and those types of things, but the ones that have got genuine education on there, like Backyard Bullion and the guys like that, absolutely encourage them and encourage people to go to their YouTube channels. Alrighty, why not both? Costings. I'm assuming that's relating to opening various stores. Somebody told me yesterday that the Brisbane market was flooded with bullion stores. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's certainly the impression they were under. Frog in a sock coin, maybe. How's the snow this week? That's from Greg C. The snow was incredible, and rumour has it that they're meant to get another 40 centimetres this weekend. So it looks like it's going to be a really good season this year, which makes up for 2 very lousy seasons that the Australian snowfields have had. I was chatting while I was up at Hotham with some of the business owners up there, and several of them were close to giving up. I know Bawbaw's as a resort has given up, and that's now government run because it's had a couple of really bad years and was struggling. But Hotham this year has had a good year, and I got a feel for anyone with a business up there because they've got like that 8 to 10 weeks to make their whole profit for the whole year. And if it goes well, it's great, and if it doesn't, it's not good. Earth Alliance, they tried Michael sitting on a bird barn. Yeah. Alrighty, I'm steering right away from that one. Where are we here? Will the different mint tours that you have done, with all the mint tours that you have done, is their production process the same? Each one does it different, knackers. It's fascinating to see what different mints think is important and what different mints think is not. Which ones have moved into modern production facilities, like the Perth Mint has been retooling a lot of theirs, and they're quite modern, to some of the older mints that, really, like, it's not that their machinery is bad. It's just that they're relying on a lot of the older machinery and doing older processes. And one of the things on the tour at Perth Mint was they were talking about some of the production facilities they've still got a press there that they use that's about 100 years old. Despite all their newer stuff, they certainly use it for different reasons. It actually works better than some of the newer stuff. And I know one of the rollers they use there, when they want to get it super accurate and super, like properly done, they use one of their very old rollers that they just won't get rid of. I think it was built in the 1930s or 1940s. So, there's different ways in each mint, and each one prefers different things. Good to know that a lot of people shop, even from Brisbane, they shop at BN. So, did anyone notice the price of the lunar coins at the Perth Mint on Monday's release were way higher than other bullion dealers around? Yeah. I don't want to tread on toes here. It's a free market. But I can tell you that this year's lunar release, a lot of the bullion dealers, fortunately, if you're a stacker, unfortunately, if you're on the other side of the equation, a lot of the dealers absolutely went hard into the market and reduced their pricing. Now, I'm not here to say that was good or bad. I think I said unfortunately, so I think I said it was bad. But look, take advantage of it is what I'm saying, because the prices that we're getting around were basically wholesale price. Like I said, I'm trying not to tread on too many toes here. It is absolutely a free market. People can charge whatever they like. I'm not suggesting anything other than that. But there were some people, some businesses that certainly cut the price to the bare bones. And if you bought them at an incredibly good price and pretty much our wholesale price. Will LCS be getting into the high relief 2025 American Liberty coins with the sunflower? No, they probably won't. The US Mint requires some fairly serious hurdles, and we're currently in negotiation with them about getting better pricing and looking at some of those hurdles. So we're probably not going to kick in. LCS probably isn't going to kick in. For those that don't know, Little Coin Shop is our, or LCS is our sister that does a lot of the numismatics. So look, I'm hoping that they're going to be able to start stocking some of those items into next year. So stand by on it for those. Pete, repeat. I hope never to sell. Leave it for the kids. Let's face it, they're going to need it. Peace of mind for me. That's exactly right. There's a lot of the stackers are stacking as insurance and hoping that they never need it and that it'll be the kids or the grandkids that benefit from it. Hey, Michael, is the BN coin design in progress? I designed the unicorn coin and would love to send you more professional designs for the BN. Reach out. Vinzep, if you want to, obviously I can't, you're anonymous and I'm strongly suggesting you stay that way at the moment. But if you want to reach out to us live, L-I-V-E, live at bullionnow.com.au, identify who you are. We are looking for some serious coin designers. And if that describes you, because we've got a few things in the wind, so, or in the wings, I should say. So I'd be interested in a conversation if that's something that's up your alley. Where are we here? US add silver to critical mineral. Would this affect silver price? Look, to JJ, absolutely. It would certainly affect the silver price, but any advertising is good advertising at the end of the day. So more people are talking about it. You know, mainstream media talks about it. When it becomes on the critical mineral list, other people, other governments, other organisations start going, oh, okay, need to grab some of that. So you'll find interest will increase, demand will increase, and by osmosis, you'll see the price will increase for those sort of things. Damien, hey team, just dropping in to say hi. Ripper time in Perth. Glad you had a great time there. Thank you. P.S. Alex, the bloke outside as you ran back in. Here's my comment. Good stuff. I made heaps on crypto at the start of the year, but now I've sold it all for gold and silver. Well done. There's a lot of people that haven't. A lot of people are playing that market. And look, I'm certainly not saying you're right or you're wrong. I just, it was a comment. A lot of people have come in, sold their gold, rolled it into crypto, hoping to make that quick buck. But as human nature, and I'm as much at fault of this as anyone else, you kind of hang on and try and squeeze the last out of it, and you end up getting, taking a hit. And in the meantime, gold's gone up in price, and it's kind of this. It doesn't always work as cleanly as everyone hopes. Let me kind of put it at that. 360C. I'm actually sitting in a Tesla, but it's a Model 3, not a Model Y. So I love my petrol cars. I love my V8s. I absolutely do. But I also do own a Tesla, believe it or not. And there are times when it is more practical for me to run. And I do love a bit of technology. Would you be willing, Josh P, would you be willing to share the ratio of gold ounces sold in your store relative to silver? Look, I'd be willing to share it, but I off the top of my head, it literally changes. I'm not dodging a question. I'm actually trying to answer it more accurately. It will change minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, week to week, month to month. We went through a period there where, what was it, about 8 weeks ago, where we got nothing but gold. And I mean, literally, we were getting a few 1 ounce silver coins in, and we were getting like dozens and dozens of ounces of gold. Like people were coming in selling 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 ounces of gold at a time in ounce bars. They were coming in selling 10 ounce bars, kilo bars. Like it was absolutely insane the amount of gold we were getting compared to silver. And then that went like that, and then literally on a dime, like it was a lunchtime. It was that sudden where gold dried up, and people were coming in with suitcases, literally suitcases full of silver to sell back to us in anything up to 100-ounce bars. And in fact, we even just recently got some 1,000-ounce bars coming in, more than we normally get sold back. So it literally turns on a dime like that. And if I said to you, today it's been, and I actually haven't been in the shop today, so I can't actually, did it again. I can't actually tell you specifically today, but, if I said it was 60% gold, 40% silver this morning, it could quite easily flip around the other way. I can give you an idea that of late, we have been buying, there are days when we've bought back in excess of $1 million worth of gold and silver in a day. It's not unusual for us to buy back $1 million worth at the moment of gold and silver. It probably averages in the high hundreds of thousands a day in the buybacks that we get. If you'd asked me last week, I would have said we were getting more silver than gold. That's flipped over this week. We are getting far more gold than silver this week. And I only know that, it's on a general sense, but I just know that because I'm monitoring the buybacks that are going onto the websites and that are being sold and those types of things. I hope I dodged around your question well enough for you, mate. Stephen Willis, I'm really not sure that we would make any money out of sticking my face on a bullion round. Ever. I don't think anyone would buy it. How are you going with getting our allocated, unallocated holding statements? That's from Will. Look, they're ready to go. What all we're waiting on is Perth Mint to make that price announcement for the spot price officially. I always like it coming from a government mint, so we can say it's fully independent and it was the government that said it. So when you present your super statement to APRA or the tax office or anything along those sort of lines, that it is completely like unbiased and it's produced by the government. But I'm almost at a point now, because we've clicked into September, where we're going to have to give up and just grab another one. So stand by. We'll make that decision next week, I'd suggest. The snow where I was good. Let me try that in English. The snow where I was good. I'll send some photos of the BN bag. That will be fantastic, Ricky. Love the Perth Mint weather over the week. It was fantastic when we were over there. Very different to the cold chill that I left in Melbourne. What was your feeling when you opened your first big unboxing for your store? Has that grown from your first unboxing? Like 100 kilos, your first unboxing, now 500 kilos is big for you. To this day, I still get a massive kick out of unboxings. Even though it's, okay, I own the company, but it's not my stuff. It's the company's stuff. It's stuff to sell, and I can't go, wow, this is mine, because it's not. It's there to sell. I remember the first unboxing we did. I remember the first delivery that we got in. It was from Perth Mint. It was the first delivery we ever got, and I can still picture it. I still get a kick out of it. I still sit. You know how sometimes when you get your stack out, you lay it all out, and you just look at it and you just go, wow. There are times when I sit in our vaults and I just look around. It's usually in the evening when everyone else has gone home, and I'll sit in a vault, or I'll sit in one of our storage areas, and it just blows me away. It's just, I don't know how to describe the feeling, but it's something else just to see all this stuff here and the way I'm getting a bit emotional now. Over the years, how it's grown, and how, we ordered that first bag from Perth, and it was $70,000 worth of gold, and it just about broke me getting it. And to now see, like we get deliveries by the ton now of silver, particularly, and it can be lots and lots of kilos of gold at a time, and it just every time it blows me away, absolutely every single time. Where are we here? Hey, Michael, I missed the stream today. It's still on, mate. Due to fatherly duties. Unsure if it's been asked, but how did you go with bringing back some lunar horse certificates? Sylvia said there would be a video. We've absolutely done a video. I'm not going to comment right at this moment on the certificates. I don't want to cause chaos. Platinum investment, a 1 out of 10. Assuming 10 is good and 1 is at the other end, or vice versa. Look, platinum is right up there for me. It's probably an 8 for me. As far as, I don't even know how to rate this, to be honest. I'm invested in platinum. I'm heavily invested in platinum. I'm a big believer in it. Would I select gold over platinum? Sometimes, if I'm looking for stability. I tend to allocate, if I've got $1,000 to spend or $5,000 or whatever it is, I tend to try and allocate it and keep a balance in my stack. So there's times when I'm chasing platinum. There's times when I'm buying platinum over gold. There's times when I'm buying gold over platinum, and silver's the same. There's also times when I will buy property or shares over gold or platinum because of whatever reason I've come across a specific deal that I'm interested in. So it's a bit hard to say one over the other because it depends on what's going on at the time and what the deal is like. But I'm certainly a big believer in platinum. What will happen to the price of gold? I'm assuming that's an if. If gold goes to parity with the US dollar, it will definitely go up pretty heavily. When will we get the financial end of financial year statements for the SMSFs? It should be within a week or so. MB. Let's just skip to the bottom again. So where are we here? Can you find out if the Thorbar mintage is true with the variance in packaging, or they a combination of both? It'll be a total mintage, irrespective of packaging. Love the sunflower design. Yes, it's a beautiful design that the US Mint has done. Stephen Bayer, to heck with the kids. My stacks for my retirement. Absolutely, I fully support that as well. Any luck on those Perth Mint Swan Opal Medallion being sold through BN or LCS? I can't remember the answer to that one, mate. I'll have to go and look it up. Ask me again soon. Young Stacker Society, we are we are working closer to that, mate. Michael, we're third printing a coin round prototype at the moment. Did first 24 test. I don't know what that's related to, Peter, but you're making me nervous. Told my parents to spend all their money. I don't want to have an argument with my sister. It's a good point, Ricky. I got to say, when I was about 16, 17, my father said to me, mate, if you're lucky, there'll be the house left at the end. And that's it, because your mother and I earned it, and your mother and I are going to spend it. And sadly, Dad never got a chance to because he died when I was 18. But it certainly kept my mother fed and watered and clothed, and housed for her whole life. And Dad was right. There wasn't a heck of a lot left by the end of it, because you'll be amazed at how expensive retirement and medical gets as you get older. Where are we up to on that negative note? My brother and I are always telling my olds to spend their money, since they earned it. Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of that too. But, we've got to a stage where we're okay. And I am working for the kids now a little bit, and I don't mind that. The watches conversation has started. It always seems to kick off. It's a bit like the aviation conversation on here. Oh, speaking of which, Michael, what did you fly when I was with the airlines, 7374, or some of the others? I am actually endorsed on the 737, both the classic, so the older one, and the NG, or the new generation ones. But if I'm true to heart, I was actually an A330 and an Airbus boy. So for many, many, many years. Some serious stackers, but if they're coming in with a suitcase, there are some serious stackers out there, guys. There are. What I love about BN is we've always catered across the whole spectrum. We are as excited about selling a 1 ounce silver coin as we are about selling 10 or 15 kilos of gold. And I love that about the company. And it's not just me, it's everyone within the company. And I love that. But don't think that because gold and silver stacking is not quote unquote mainstream, that there aren't some serious people that are stacking, and that includes I have to step really carefully here, but we absolutely deal with people that are on the BRW 200 list, like the wealthiest in Australia. And yes, we deal with superannuation funds and things like that. There is serious money going into precious metals. Don't ever kid yourself. I'm not going to get into that area. Scrooge McDuck. Yes, I think Mark's referencing when I'm talking about getting all the stuff, all your stack out. And yes, I've been known to lay all my stack out and try and dive in it like Scrooge McDuck. Speaking of which, somebody is releasing a Scrooge McDuck. Oh, New Zealand Mint is releasing a Scrooge McDuck in conjunction with PAMP, I believe it is. A Scrooge McDuck coin, which we're trying to get hold of because I'm a big Scrooge McDuck fan. If you're ever bored one day, go onto YouTube and look up some of the old classic Scrooge McDuck investment cartoons, because they did some fascinating ones that explain inflation and hyperinflation and building a stack. It talks some of them talk about stacking gold and silver, which is fascinating because they're usually made around the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And also talks about printing money. There's some really good ones on there. So if you ever got half an hour to kill, get onto YouTube and look up some of those old Scrooge McDuck ones. They are fascinating. What's your opinion on legendary warrior coins, why they are so cheap? There's a lot of coins out there at the moment. A lot of the manufacturers, particularly in the States, Europe to a smaller degree, but particularly in the States, where they tooled up for the huge demand that was around during COVID. And now that the huge demand for new product is not out there, that there's a lot of buyback product out there, that they have excess capacity. To give you some idea, when I was in Berlin earlier this year for the World Money Fair, one of not the biggest manufacturer in the US, they're certainly large, but they're not the biggest in the US. They offered to produce a silver round for us, and they said that they could produce 50,000 units per 8-hour shift. That was the sort of capacity, and they could flick the switch on that day immediately. Like, obviously, they had to produce the die, but that only takes a couple of days to produce a die. They could basically start production immediately on that. So that was one company in the States. Admittedly, it was a decent sized one, wasn't the largest one, but that's the level of excess capacity out there. Now, why am I going on about excess capacity? Because it means that they can produce these things, and as anything, they have a basic expense, so a fixed cost of having those machines there and those types of things. So they get to a point where they will produce at their basic cost just to cover their expenses. So you can actually get some of these things produced quite cheaply. So that's what's happened with the Legendary Warrior series. Someone's been very, very smart, and they have managed to latch on to someone who's got this excess capacity, and they've produced a really good quality coin at a really cheap price. Will it go up in the future? I actually hold some serious hope for that one. It's a good series, a good solid series that's been really well received. Love my personal unboxings, especially if I have some buybacks to see what I ended up with. Life is like a buyback unboxing. You never know what you're going to get. And that's exactly right. I have to admit to me, I usually get into the office quite early, and it's not unusual for me if I've got 10 minutes spare to actually duck into the back room of the shop and just look through what's come in buybacks, because it's like all sorts of fascinating stuff comes through. Have you ever calculated the average lifetime spend per customer? I have. I'm probably not willing to go through that on a public forum. Prices are going through the roof, which means it's hard to buy. Shane, it's absolutely... There's not shortages out there. There's good deals are getting harder to find. There's still plenty of capacity out there, don't get me wrong, but we're starting to see the early signs of those better deals tightening up a little bit. Talking property, Wakery, Loxton, selling property. There you go. So it looks like Wakery Loxton Council is selling property for unpaid rates. 58 blocks and a few houses. That's huge. Kim and Annie, a few months back, you spoke about a book. Tried to rewatch your old lives, can't seem to find it. Any chance you might recall the name? I'm guessing it's the Cast Vintage Bar book, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head. If I had Alex here, he'd tell you straight away. Ask me next week, Kim and Annie, on the live stream, and we'll absolutely we'll let you know what it was. Michael, please have a shave. The wife agrees with me. My wife absolutely agrees with you, and I suspect this weekend this will be coming off. Warren, does your wife and kids have much to do with the business? Two of my kids are actually very heavily involved in the businesses. One in particular is very heavily involved in the bullion side of it. And my wife has quite a bit to do with Little Coin Shop, which is our numismatic side. Michael, were you ever ask me sometime, not on camera. Jet, do you know if Nick Farr-Jones has started stacking yet, or is he still a paper guy? I don't know, but it still cracks me up. For those that aren't aware, I presented at a conference a while ago, and Nick Farr-Jones was on a panel that I was on, and he couldn't quite bend his brain around the fact that we sold physical gold, and people actually walked into our store and bought gold and walked out with a bar of gold. He has a lot to do with the paper side of it, with some of the investment funds, and never really understood or couldn't seem to grasp the concept that actually everyday people walk into stores and buy physical gold and, take it and stack it. So, yeah, Stephen was obviously part of that one. Where are we here? Do serious stackers, high rollers focus more on cheaper premium products or the semi-numismatic? They go across the spectrum. There are times when they will be stacking they just want bang for the buck, and they will be, look, when we're talking about the more serious end, they will absolutely be looking for the kilo bars, and even to a degree to the 400 ounce bars, the 12 kilo bars. They will certainly buy quite large wads of semi-numismatic, so the bullion coin type thing. Particularly, and I know of one in particular that's bought a whole stack of horses. They will also, I know a couple of what we're terming here high rollers or high net worth people that buy numismatics and buy them in quantities as well. Because like art, they hold their, if you buy them right, they hold their value, and they are great. They are semi-easy to liquidate at good prices, so long as you don't need to do it right this second. They are like art. I put them in a similar category to art. If you select them properly, and you treat them properly, and you liquidate them properly, you can do very well out of them. And high net worth people know that too. I certainly hope so, Knackers. Where are you? Remember the conference? Yeah. What? Sorry, BRW. Ricky, it's not called the BRW 200. BRW is the Business Review Weekly, and they used to do that. Like, that was a magazine that came out for many, many years. I think it was part of the Murdoch stable. And they canned it, I'm guessing, about 5 years ago. And the Australian Financial Review, who was owned by the same company, they took over the annual wealthiest 200 in Australia. So I'm just showing how old I am by calling it the BRW 200. I think it's now called the Financial Review 200, or the wealthiest 200 Australians, something along those sort of lines. But it comes out every year around my wife's birthday, which I meant to know, May, comes out around the middle of hang on, January, March, yeah, 15th, around about the middle of May every year. And it's a great read. Just, it's a little bit inspiring, but it also gives you an insight into that other world that you and I don't live in. I'm assuming you and I don't live in. What did I miss on the most professional live stream? I wish it was the most professional, but this year I am certainly not doing Ruben justice by any stretch of the imagination. I'm parked in my car with mobile internet, desperately trying to carry the flame. Live from the back, and actually I'm in Bairnsdale. I'm in the Coles car park in Bairnsdale. And if I could drive and do this live stream at the same time, I would be going to find lunch because I'm starving. Sorry, I just skipped down. Australian Poured Ingots by Kim Brett. Well done, Pete. Repeat, if that's the book we're talking about. So an incredible book. I can't believe how much detail Kim has gone into on that. The quality of the photos, the quality of the production. If you come across a copy, I believe it's sold out. But if you come across a copy, absolutely grab it. It retailed for that $80 sort of range, somewhere in there. An incredible book if you want any information on Australian poured ingots and the research that he went into, just next level. Stephen, Michael, since your kids seem to be having an interest in the business, do you imagine leaving them the business once you retire? I won't retire, I doubt very much, Stephen, as much as particularly my oldest son, I think, is encouraging me to retire. I tried it once. In fact, I've tried it twice and I don't enjoy it. So I think they're going to carry me out in a box, but absolutely, particularly at least one of my kids is quite heavily involved, and I can absolutely see them running it into the future. Am I going to Avalon next time? Don't know. Too long into the future at this point. Michael, do you ever panic about employing staff? Absolutely. And VB man, right now we are looking for more staff. Believe it or not, I seem to be permanent. Look, I'm going to make this statement. I am always on the lookout for good staff. Always on the lookout for good staff, no matter where you live. I'm always on the lookout. I may not have a position for you immediately, but if you're trustworthy and hardworking and all that sort of stuff, we've probably got a position for you at Bullion Now. Having said all of that, we are actually actively looking for some sales staff, both in Melbourne and in Pakenham. So if you are interested in coming to work for Bullion Now, and I would say quite biasedly, one of the best places on earth to work, although the guys might argue at the moment because they're a little bit under the pump. But, we try and look after our guys as much as we can. And guys, I mean that generally. I don't mean that as a specific sex. We have lots of men and women that work for us at all sorts of times. But we are particularly looking for people in Melbourne to do sales there for us, and to a smaller degree out at Pakenham, because we are having to split our staff a little bit to support the Pakenham store there and some other growth that we've got in mind. So if you're looking for a job and you'd like, or even if you're not looking for a job but you'd like to work for Bullion Now, send us through your resume, admin, ADMIN, admin at bullionnow.com.au. And the sooner the better, and we'll get you in for an interview. And there is a couple of people that I know tune into this live stream that have sent us their resumes but are not responding to our phone calls or our emails to come in for an interview. So if this describes you, look at your emails or your phones and get back to us, because we'd love to interview you. Always prefer to employ from the Bullion Now family first if we can. My page just skipped again. Sorry, guys. I'm always worried about buying buybacks in case I receive a counterfeit. Understand BN has an XRF and very experienced staff, but with so many new staff at BN now, are they supported to spot fakes? I'm trying to think of new staff that would be using the XRF at that level. I'm going to say there's none of the what you're terming inexperienced staff or new staff that would be currently using the XRF in anger, we certainly encourage them. We've got to run them through the licensing first. We certainly encourage them to use it to practice once they're licensed and trained. I can't think of anyone inexperienced that would be using it on buybacks at the moment, or has ever done. Really, we certainly give them some fairly decent training on it and some practice on it first. I wouldn't be easy for me to say it's not my, well, it is my money. I'm buying the flaming things, I suppose. I wouldn't let that stress you. At the end of the day, we stand behind every single product that we sell. And if ever it was in doubt, we would immediately either refund the money or change it over for the equivalent. And we have had people at different times that have said, look, I'm not sure. I bought a buyback and I'm just not sure. I know you say it's pure and I've seen the XRF test, but I'd really like to change it over for a Perth Mint just because I've got more confidence in the Perth Mint. And yeah, sure, they might have to pay a little bit difference in the premium, but we've absolutely done it. So if you're ever in doubt, I'm sure we can come to a workable arrangement to sort that out. But again, I'm putting my reputation and my company's reputation behind every single item that we sell, buyback or brand new, and I will back it to the hilt. So heaven forbid, it's never happened yet, but heaven forbid, if anything was proven to be that it wasn't what it should be, you contact us. We will absolutely, I tell a lie. We had one incident, I'm going back years now, where we had a sovereign go out and it was a jeweler's copy. And it tested fine, like it was the right amount of gold and all that sort of stuff. But it was, and I suspect it was a jeweler's copy. And look, if you're not into sovereigns, that probably won't mean anything to you and it might make you panic. But jeweler's copies, there's no need to panic about them. They're a legitimate thing. And quite often jeweler's copies are actually worth more than the originals are in several cases. But as a general rule, I like to let people know their jeweler's copies before they go out. And it just happened, the person bought the sovereign, it went into storage with us, and I wasn't part of the transaction. But when it came out of storage, I happened to see it, and I went, hang on a sec, that's a jeweler's copy. Are you aware of it? And they went, no, what's a jeweler's copy? And I explained, exactly what a jeweler's copy is. And I said, look, I'm quite happy to change it over for a non-jeweler's copy, a real one, or, you can keep it. And in the end, they kept it and bought another one as well. So, but that's the only incident I can ever think of that's where something's not quite been as the person bought it was thinking it was. So, if that was English. So I wouldn't let that worry you at all. Well, you're more than welcome to come in and watch us XRF a product. Any product, we're quite happy to XRF them in front of you. And we stand by anything that is sold from BN. We will stand by lock, stock, and barrel. Do the bullion, semi-numismatic, and numismatic sales figures trend with demographics or world events? Both, I would say. Absolutely. Bullion particularly will be world events. No, and demographics. No, look, I'd answer both to that. It's certainly cultural. Some cultures are very heavily bullion or, very heavily numismatic. So it's a mixed bag on that one. We certainly see world events impact by both buying and selling. Terry, Michael, if trading with Scottsdale in future, please look into the 1 ounce cowboy rounds. They certainly are very flash. We should bring some in. I agree. BDK, Michael, have you spoken more with Hobart Mint this week? Are we closer to getting a shipment of product in BN? Middle of the month, I think I'm down there. Sometime around about the 15th, give or take a little bit. I'm down there to meet with the Hobart Mint, and hopefully we'll see some of their products across with us. I do not own any racehorses. I grew up on horseback. That was enough for me. What's the best way to sell coins to maximize collector premium? This is a great question, Leo. There are Bullion Now should always be your port of last resort. And yes, I am absolutely shooting myself in the foot here. There is no doubt about it. But let's be honest, we pay spot, and sometimes coins are worth more than spot. And we've had people come into the store and try to sell us coins, and we've said, actually, if you take this over to there, or you advertise this here, you'll actually get more money for it. Absolutely, we'll buy it back at spot, but there's every chance you'll get more for it if you take it elsewhere. And I know that hurts us, but I'd rather be honest, and our team would rather be honest with people. And quite often people say to us, look, I appreciate your honesty, but I just want this deal done and dusted. I'm happy to take spot. Fine. You know that we're there. We will absolutely pay spot for it. But there are some coin dealers will pay more, and a shout out to Max Stearns in Melbourne. Quite often they will pay a little bit more than we will for the collector side coins. Matt runs Thompson Coins out of Mental Blank there in Melbourne. And Matt, a big shout out to Matt. Great guy, very honest. Ex-Bullion Now team, although he's still very much part of the Bullion Now family, and he still appears on live stream with us occasionally. But head over to Thompson Coins. They will, if they can, and you can't always give more than spot, but they will attempt to give you as much as they possibly can. Obviously, they're still running a business, and they've got to make a profit at the end of the day. You also have some of the collector forums. So I used to actually specify which forums online, but I've been burnt a couple of times by, I did a deal on that one and it didn't work out and I'm blaming you for it, sort of thing. So I'm not quite willing to mention any by name anymore. But if you jump onto Google and Google some of the forums, you can certainly start advertising on there, and you can squeeze out sometimes a bit more premium on those sort of things and those ways. Ricky's parked in the car as well. Good to hear you're still listening there, though, mate. Do a video on the daily life of a bullion dealer. I have attempted that one, Keith, a couple of times. A day in the life of. I almost did it the other week, actually, because it was a day where I could have and then I couldn't. The problem is, when we deal with customers, they want to stay private. When I'm dealing with suppliers, quite often they want to stay private. There's so much security involved in these sorts of things that I think I've concluded that I could do a week in the life of a bullion dealer, and that way I think I can do enough things that aren't so security minded that we can't show them. So I think I can do a week in, and we're looking at that. So stand by, we'll see what happens. Stack of horses sounds like something a person who has never seen a horse would say. Yeah, you're probably right. I could have expressed that better. Sorry, my page just skipped. Let me know if this format works. I never know if I'm wasting my time with these things or if it actually ticks people's boxes sometimes, or it's just me rabbiting into the ether. Kim and Annie can't retire without us at least getting to shake your hand. I would certainly appreciate you doing that. Come in anytime and let me know. Like I said, I might wind back a bit, but I can't see me ever retiring. I'll have to rewatch the stream afterwards. Was at work today. Yeah, work sucks, doesn't it? Stephen, don't count yourself out. I'm still working on this pop-up store for Darwin. I think it's got legs. I reckon we should do that one. Ricky, you might even be right on that one. Do you have a minimum requirement for hours for staff? Look, to be honest, I always prefer full-timers, because part-timers, this isn't a dig at anyone at all. It's just a fact of life. I try, far out, my phone's in here somewhere. I don't know where. Sorry about that, guys. I just find that when I try not to call people, or when people aren't at work, I try not to harass them at all, because you need your downtime. And I find with part-timers, then whenever I need to query an invoice, or I need communication with them, it's their day off and I'm waiting for them. So I'm not a huge fan of part-timers. I always like full-time. Having said that, we absolutely do have some full-timers that work for us, and they are fantastic. So if you can only work part-time, or you're looking for casual, don't let that hold you back. If you're a good employee, I'll crawl over broken glass to keep you. Why was Pakenham chosen as a location? I live east side of Melbourne, and we needed to move our freight facility and our storage facility into the metro area because they were threatening to increase our freight costs by 250%. So we had to move it into the metro area. Pakenham is an area where they're developing a lot of industrial land. So it was easy to find some industrial land to actually get what we wanted. So that's purely the reason Pakenham. Whoa, sorry guys. Purely the reason Pakenham was chosen. Silver Ruger, don't let the distance stop you from sending in a resume. Do you get many fakes come in? BKZ, you would be amazed at the number of fakes that we get coming in. They tend to come in phases. You won't get any for weeks at a time, and then you'll get a run of them. And it will be someone has imported a whole stack of replicas, quote unquote, from China. They are produced legally. And look, to be honest, and I've had this discussion before, replicas are a legitimate thing. If you have a collection of pennies, you may not be able to afford a 1930 penny because they are in the tens of thousands these days. And there's nothing worse than having this big gaping hole in your beautiful display that you've got set up on the wall or on your desk or wherever you keep it. And you've just got this hole where the 1930 is, and you can pick yourself up a replica one for, $5, $10 out of China. I get why there's replica ones out there. However, people bring them into the country and they don't, whether they do it consciously or subconsciously, intentionally or not, where they sell them to somebody unknowing, and then that person brings them into Bullion Now and has them tested. And unfortunately, we have to say, look, I'm sorry, this is a fake. I can't do it here because I don't have the skills to do it, but we did a video many years ago, and we should do an updated one on fake versus real, some Perth Mint bars. If you've ever got time, look that one up on our YouTube channel, and it'll give you some pointers as to how to spot them, A, how good they are, but B, how to spot the differences even without an XRF or anything along those sort of lines. Dear. Michael, would you consider a franchise network? Yeah, I don't know. I'm always interested to these discussions, mate. Yeah, I'm always into a discussion. Just traded my unallocated silver for the 10-ounce Thor bar. Going to be super happy with it when it arrives. I love it when people do that, and not because we make money out of it. And obviously we do, but it's what the unallocated is. I originally designed the unallocated for was people to store up their, whether they're buying a little bit at a time or whether they like the price today and they want to lock in the price today and then convert it into, the new horse release or whatever it is that's just going through now. I love it when people do that and they take their unallocated, they save it up and they buy something that they've really always wanted. I'm really sorry about that sun behind me. I don't think I've got anything to block it with. Ricky, I'm not really a drinker. I drink very, very rarely. So the duty-free stuff used to drive me nuts because everyone else used to ask me to bring it in for them, and I hated it. Yes, Stephen, I have to admit, a car pulled out of my peripheral vision, reversed in, and I had a heart attack because I actually thought the car started rolling because I actually am pointing slightly downhill. So yes, I get that handbrake comment there. Do you regret not going bigger for your Packy store? Yes, that was a dumb thing. So I bought Pakenham purely as a storage facility. I didn't actually mean to put a store there, and it has a natural little storefront on the front of it. And I thought, what a genius idea for anyone kind of around that kind of country Victoria, like Eastern Country Victoria area, just so they don't have to drive into Melbourne. We'll have a little store here, just so, people can just drop in and pick up stuff from here and not have to go all the way into the CBD, because that's everyone's biggest complaint is having to go into the CBD. And we actually used to run just a little one. We never advertised it, but where the storage facility used to be, we actually had a little store there, and probably half a dozen people a day would drop in and buy stuff or pick stuff up, those types of things, because we didn't advertise it, so it was a little bit word of mouth sort of thing. So that's what I intended for Pakenham. Then I opened my big mouth and said, "Oh, we're going to have this little store at Pakenham," and all hell broke loose. And I hadn't quite realised, stupidly, that the whole of Eastern Melbourne, all of Eastern Victoria, and some of the other places around Victoria went, "Oh, I don't mind coming down to Packy. I don't have to then, find parking in the CBD and all those horrible things that we all hate." And I am fairly sure that the store is going to be too small. So, but you live and learn. G Sinkers, do you accept sovereign coins with holes drilled to hang on a chain? Yes, we still accept them, but we have to buy them as scrap. You're actually going to get less for them because now they've been damaged. The same as with any precious metals. They now incur GST technically, and they have to be. Yeah, it's hard work to deal with them. Yep, make an appointment. You've made an appointment, the Metal Inquisitor, to go into Pakenham soon. Can't wait. Good stuff. We are going to get the Scottsdale Christmas rounds. I've just realised what time it is, so I humbly apologise because I'm actually, it's already 4 o'clock and I wasn't going to run over. So I'm going to start wrapping it up there. Ricky's baby just woke up. Sorry about that one. I hope it wasn't me. So a couple of quick questions. I'll try and just skim through these last few really, really quickly, and I apologise if I didn't get to yours. This format has better audio. I'm actually a bit surprised. I'm not microphoned at all. Great getting good show. Good. I'm glad people like the format. I'd like to do it semi-frequently from the studio where we can do it properly, but yeah. We certainly won't stop the other format. Don't think for a minute I'm getting rid of that. We're going to change it up a bit, though, so I'm open to ideas on that one. Yeah. Happy with the format. Format works well. Good. I'm glad. Do a lunchtime stream. You could buy the coin shop across the road from the Perth Mint. Funny you should mention that. No, we don't have to. We don't report fakes generally, but obviously, if they're Australian legal tender, i.e., the kangaroo, the kookaburra, the koala, they're actually counterfeits, and they are. There's legal implications with that one. So, talk to me about it one day. Went into a Packy store. So I'm really just trying to skim through the last couple. I think I've given up because it's just zipped to the end. Yeah, okay. I'm going to draw it to a close there. Look, just thank you so much for putting up with the dodginess of this stream. I apologise humbly that I'm doing it. Sitting in a car parked in Bairnsdale, wonderful place, Bairnsdale. If you ever get a chance to come down this way, it is a beautiful place, and up into the high country around the back here. Good for gold panning too, if you're into that sort of thing, or metal detecting. Thank you very, very much for joining in. It's great to see a few hundred people all come in live, and I know there'll be more that'll join in afterwards. I can't tell you how much it pumps my tires to see so many people join in and watch afterwards and make comments and not make comments, but just be there to support us. So a huge thank you. We will be back fully on deck next week, Friday, 2:30 Melbourne time, yet again. Hopefully Ruben's better by then, and I've covered the store so Alex can come back on the live stream again. Lots of exciting things coming out next week. Hopefully some videos from our time over in Perth, amongst new releases and stuff from overseas. All sorts of fun and games, different metals coming through, like different products in different metals coming through. The EOI for the Platinum Horse. All sorts of fun and games. Tune in next week. Thank you very, very much. See you soon.